would say for a good year, the universe threw really subpar men at me. And I was like, what is going on here? And the more I learned about self-development, I thought, you know what? I'm still broken and maybe I was attracting all of the wrong things because I believe that you attract what you are.
Sure, very true.
But then I think as I slowly started to heal, these men are nice men. You know, they don't all live in the UK as well. You know, like we can connect now with
Very
people
true.
all over the world.
With
So,
anyone.
you know, I have someone really nice in Australia and I have someone really nice in Miami and I might have...
Bros in different area codes.
You know, Nate Dogg had a point, right? Like... But again, they're nice men. They're very respectful. They're single. I appreciate their time when they have it for me. And I hope it is, you know, the same and vice versa.
Yeah. Would you feel okay if, like, let's say a guy is talking to you, interested in you, but he's also doing that with other women in other places?
So I think we spoke about this briefly on our last chat.
Okay, remind me, because that was 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Go for it.
So I am poly in theory, not in practice, I would say. Right? Because there's not the right dynamics for me to practice. But I don't believe in monogamy. I think monogamy can be a beautiful thing in relationships. Mm-hmm. I also think that sometimes you can start a relationship monogamous and then 10, 15 years later you decide to open up your marriage.
Very true.
You know, and that it does work.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I've been really passionate about learning in the last couple years is the different relationship dynamics that we can have. So yes, there's monogamous, and yes, there is polyamorous, and then there's also, you know, polygamy where you can have multiple wives, and then there is casual sex and casual dating, and then there is, you know, very unhealthy dynamics like controlling and domestic violence and things like that. You know, there are so many different dynamics. You have to find the right one for you, and I would hope that you have enough self-awareness that you choose a healthy dynamic. But that seems very difficult these days as well.
Do you think maybe because people want different things at different stages in their lives? So some people want, you know, maybe when they're younger, they want something a bit more chilled, casual. And then when they want to like settle down, they want something very monogamous. And then once they've done that, they're like, you know what, I can open it up and, you know, explore having different connections, but you still have a primary partner that you go through life with. Do you know what I mean? So do you think people want different things at different points in their lives? Or?
I do, but I don't think it's about age. So I think there can be some 18-year-olds who really are having sex for the first time and they want to go and play the field and they can do that. And then there's also another 18-year-old who thinks that it's very sacred, very special, and they want to save themselves for marriage.
Very true.
So again, it's all about what makes you happy. But then there's also there's a conversation to be had around autonomy versus connection, because nowadays, so I heard a statistic the other day that this is an American statistic, but in America, I think 50, 60 years ago, 1 out of 100 people were living alone. And now it's 1 in 7.
That makes sense.
So whereas it's great to have your home and your comforts, and it's great to have all of the privilege to be on your own and be entertained through social media or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think it's really dividing us. We're getting so comfortable in those little bubbles that we're not going out and looking for genuine connections. And then also online porn, social media, and dating apps have given, I want to say the youth, but maybe not exclusively to them. It's given the impression that everybody's replaceable. That you can just swipe to the next and you're going to find something special. And that's just not how it works. And actually, there's evidence now to show that about 15 years ago, when porn became so easily available, people started having more sex. So we were, you know, going out there more and, you know,
exploring,
getting our jiggy on or whatever.
Yeah.
But now those numbers are steadily decreasing. We're having less sex than ever.
Very true.
STDs are going up, but we're having less sex. And I think it's because people just don't really know how to genuinely connect, work through conflict. They don't know how to be adaptable. And nowadays, we look for everything in our partner. We want good sex. We want companionship. We want a friendship. We want them to be our support system. We want them to be the person that we vent to.
Yeah.
it was never like that in history. It was
Mm.
never ever like that.
It
That
was a
was
village that would provide all
exactly.
those different needs. You wouldn't ask for all of that in one person.
Exactly. So again, I think relationships are changing so drastically, not just actually on a societal level, but actually it's also changing us biologically. So it's changing our brain chemistry. More people have impotency issues or infertility issues, and birth rates are dropping as well. Like when you think about dating and healthy dating,
People aren't coupling up. It's true.
It's having a profound effect on us as a species.
Yeah, I think so many things to delve in there for sure. So I actually think it's a different reason why we're having less sex. I don't think it's necessarily because people don't, because most people, especially nowadays, there's a lot more casual sex now. So you don't need to have a quote unquote connection, right? So long as there's physical chemistry. But I think the main reason is because you say about STIs going up. And I think it's that on average, people are having less sex. But I think there's a very small percentage of people who are having most of the sex. And there's a very large percentage of people who are having very little, if none. And I think that's really mainly reflective in men. There's a very small percentage of men who are having a lot of the sex, right?
Yeah.
And there's a very large percentage. So I don't know if we talked about this before, but you've ever heard of the Pareto principle? It's the 80-20 rule.
Oh, yes. The swiping, that there are not enough swipes for the men anyway, and it's a very small percentage of the men that get swiped for.
Yes, yeah. In terms of dating apps, for sure, it's like women swipe on average like 1 in 20, which is about 5%. Men swipe on 1 in 2 on average. But yeah, essentially it means that, the men that women find desirable, if we think of like the tick list: tall, attractive, successful, ambitious, confident, charismatic, intelligent, it's a very, very, very small percentage of men who tick all those boxes. Now, because of the internet, because of dating apps and social media, now everybody has access to everyone. So, the girl from the quiet town of Norfolk, before, she'd just be limited to the men in her village, and she would choose, someone age appropriate, someone her age, etc. Right? But now she can match with the hotshot lawyer from London, the producer from LA, the basketball player from Paris. So now the men in her circles, in her immediate vicinity, don't really compare to the access that she now has. And of course, if you have no emotional investment, both of them ask you out on a date. You've got the guy in your class who's 22, just accrued a bunch of student debt. The best he can do is take you to Nando's and he still lives at home. Or you've got the 30-year-old lawyer who's got his own place, drives a nice car, got his own dog, and he can provide a certain lifestyle and experience for you. If you have no emotional investment, they both ask you out on Friday night, who are you going to choose, right? But the caveat is he's doing that, or I should say a lot of women are choosing that guy. So you get a very small percentage of men who are engaging, dating, sleeping with a vast majority of the women, right? And then the truth is, unless he's ready to settle down, there's no incentive for him to be monogamous, to commit to one woman. And then you have a large percentage of men who get almost nothing, right? And then they turn to video games, porn, OnlyFans, because that's the only level of sexual access they have. So on average, yes, we're having less sex on average per person, but it's actually, there's a small percentage of people having a lot of the sex, especially with men, compared to a huge chunk that just are not getting a lot of attention or access. In terms of birth rates, there's less of an incentive for men. Men see less of an incentive to get married, because of the way historically men or marriage has been in terms of nowadays, in terms of, okay, a lot of men feel like, what do I get in marriage that I can't have without it? You can still have a family, you can still have a life partner, you can still have a loving connection and a healthy relationship with someone. Still have children, of course, with them. But a lot of men just see it as a really big risk, especially if he's a successful man. Do you want to risk losing your livelihood if things don't work out the way they want? So, and men are very logical with these things. So they're looking at marriage being like, they're looking at cost benefit analysis. They're like, it doesn't look like beneficial for me. But a lot of men still want families.
I feel like what you're saying is I think there are many, many layers as to why we're not connecting, why we're not having sex and all of that.
For sure.
And you make a valid point. It's very transactional, that, which I don't have a problem with at all.
Go on.
I was learning something the other day, and it was saying, they were talking about gold diggers, and it's like, yes, but so this man has money and status and can provide something for this younger girl, but she has beauty and she has elegance, and he's looking for the beauty and the elegance, and she is looking for a lifestyle. And if both people are okay with that, then I think it's totally fine.
Sure,
but that isn't necessarily looking for genuine connection, romance, or compatibility with regards to your personality or things like that. But again, like I said, I'm not against it,
No, and that's a valid point. And I think I'm not discounting the connection, the compatibility. I think men are saying like, men are going, I like you and I love you. I just don't want marriage involved.
I think women are saying that too, though, to be fair. Have you heard of the, oh God, what is it called? Is it the something B movement?
Oh, the 4B movement.
The 4B movement, yes. Yeah. So it started in, I believe, South Korea.
Yeah.
The women were just like, men are not doing anything for us. They're not taking us out. They're not being frivolous. They're not providing for us. They're most certainly not giving us the safe space. They're not, taking care of us. So we're just not going to date them, not going to have sex with them, not marry them, and not have children with them.
Yeah.
And this movement is now spreading.
I don't think it is, I think it was a trend on social media because it sounds good, but then a lot of women are still engaged with men because most people, especially women, still want relationships and family. Like, I think if you ask
after a certain age, though, that just doesn't become the case. I think there are some women who choose their careers and through, I'd like to think, awareness, they think like, what, I'm 35, it hasn't happened yet. I'm into my career. I'm just, I can't afford it as well. I don't want to do it on my own with IVF. So will choose to be single. Whether they choose that because they're of a certain age where they feel they can't have it anymore. Again, that is what I would say is a mindset shift that they need. But
yeah.
What's interesting as well is there is some evidence and research to show that women like to date and be with someone either on their emotional intelligence and their IQ or above.
Yes, of course.
And men like to have someone either equal or below. So that's another reason why we're struggling to connect, because we genuinely just want different things.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right in terms of, hypergamy, I guess what that's called. So in regards to like women, choosing their careers and choosing to like be single and childless, making that a choice for them. So apparently studies show that at least women in their 40s who are single and childless, 80% of them was unintentional. So only like a very small percentage, they're like, yeah, I didn't want a family, I didn't have children, just want to focus on work. But for the majority of women, at least what's being reported is that they actually did want a family and wanted children, but it didn't happen for them for whatever reason. But yeah, women are hypergamous by nature. So it's not just intelligence, but
why do you think that is?
What I think what is?
Why do you think that hypergamous by nature? Is that how you say it? I never use the word hypergamous.
Yeah, the hypergamous, yes.
Yeah. Why do you think that is, though? Like fundamentally, historically, why do you think that is?
Because females have always looked to males for provision and protection. But the difference is what's changed is that because it's not only just in terms of intelligence, but it's also economic level. And actually, that's the biggest factor. Because as a woman, if you're, doing well for yourself, 9 times out of 10, you want a man at least on your level, economically, financially, or above. Obviously, we have equality now, as we should, right? And there's some women who are absolutely killing it, which is great for them. Actually, as of 2015, women under the age of 30 out-earn their male counterparts now, right? So women are doing great.
That's another interesting aspect, because I wonder what most of them do.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good question. I mean, like, I don't know how much of them are OnlyFans or adult stars, but who knows? I'm sure a lot of them have gone into like, a lot of corporate stuff. But as a woman, if you want a man on your level or above and you continue to climb, then the amount of men you see as eligible becomes smaller and smaller. Whereas men, we don't mind dating down, so to speak, someone who's not on our level. So the higher a man goes, actually, the more women become available to him in terms of eligibility.
Yeah.
And I think because
the opposite for women, unfortunately.
Right. But I guess, if you're a woman and you can be like, you know what, a man doesn't need to be on my economic level, then the pool becomes huge for you. But it's just about whether you can accept that. I think
it's very difficult sometimes for men to be okay with that. I think a man has to be very, very secure and confident within himself to say, that's the mighty breadwinner, and I'm going to be the stay-at-home guy.
So
I'm not saying it doesn't work.
Sure.
In my experience, it has not worked.
I'm not saying it's not a thing. I think it's bigger. I don't think there are many women out here looking for a stay-at-home husband. If you ask women, what kind of man do you actually want to be with long term? They are not saying a stay-at-home. They're not saying a stay-at-home husband. They're not saying that. They're definitely saying a guy who is strong leader, provider, confident, a man that they can rely on to be the foundation for them. I think certain dynamics, some men can feel insecure, for sure. I'm not saying that's not valid, but a lot of the time, and I say this because of women I've spoken to as well, they struggle to respect a man they feel that they're doing better than. And respect is hugely important for masculine love within a relationship.
Yes, so I would definitely agree. Men look for respect in their relationship, and women look for a safe space.
Absolutely, yeah.
And not saying that the woman doesn't look for, not saying that,
Of course, he doesn't want a safe space, and she doesn't want respect, of course.
But when we're talking about sort of the divine masculine or divine feminine and the fundamentals of that, sexual polarity, really,
Yeah.
Again, I just feel like not enough people know these things. And I feel like if we educated the younger generation and said to them, listen, there's a thing called love language. And then there are things that, your attachment style. And, there is something called sexual polarity. And actually, even as a man, you have feminine traits. And that is normal. It's the yin and the yang of life, you know. Right. So
hope you really enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode where that clip is from, then I want you to click right here where you can watch the full episode. And if you're ready to claim your man today, enroll in my program below. And I'll see you there. Wishing you an amazing day.